ክቡራን ተመልካቾቻችን እየተመለከታችሁ የምትገኙት የኢትዮጵያ ብሮድካስቲንግ ኮርፖሬሽንን ኢቢሲ የፌስቡክ ገጽ ነው። 29ኛው የአፍሪካ ህብረት የመሪዎች ጉባኤን መሰረት አድርገን የተለያዩ መረጃዎችን በቀጥታ ስርጭታችን በፌስቡክ ገጹ ማለት ነው የምናስተላልፍ ነው የሚሆነው። እየተከታተላችሁ ከኛ ጋር እንድትቆዩ በአክብሮት እንጋብዛችኋለን። 29ኛው የአፍሪካ ህብረት የመሪዎች ጉባኤ የተለያዩ ጉዳዮች ይነሱበታል ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። በዋነኛነት ወጣቶች ላይ መዋለ ንዋይን በማፍሰስ የማህበረሰብን ተጠቃሚነት ማረጋገጥ የሚል መፈክር ወይም ደግሞ መጠሪያ ተሰጥቶታል። የዚህ የአፍሪካ ህብረት የመሪዎች ጉባኤ 2017ም የወጣቶች አመት ሆኖ እንዲሰየም ነው እንግዲህ በህብረቱ መግባባት ላይ ተደረሰው። ከጥር ወር ጀምሮ በተካሄደው ስብሰባ ላይ ይህ ሐሳብ ሲነሳ እንግዲህ በዋነኛነት በአህጉሩ ካለው አብላጫ ህዝብ ውስጥ 65% አካባቢ ወጣት እንደመሆኑ መጠን በአህጉሩ ያለውን የወጣቶች ተጠቃሚነት ማረጋገጥ ያስፈልጋል። ለዚህም የስራ ዕድል ፈጠራዎች በአግባቡ በየአገራቱ ሊሰሩ ይገባል የሚል መልእክቶች ተላልፈውበት ነበር። በየአመቱ ወደ 10 ሚሊዮን አዳዲስ ወጣቶች ለስራ ዝግጁ ይሆናሉ ወይም ደግሞ አዳዲስ ወጣቶች ለስራ ለመሰማራት ፍላጎት ያሳያሉና ይህንን አቅም መጠቀም የሚያስችል የተለያዩ ስትራቴጂዎችን አጀንዳዎችን በመንደፍ ወጣቶችን ተጠቃሚ የሚያደርጉ ስራዎች መሰራት እንደሚገባቸው መልእክት ተላልፎበት ነበር የጥር ወሩ ጉባኤ ማለት ነው። ለዚህ ደግሞ እንደ ዋነኛ ምክንያትነት የተቀመጡ ነገሮች አሉ። በዋነኛነት በአህጉሩ ያለው ወጣት ሰፊ ከመሆኑ አንፃር ይህንን ወጣት መጠቀም የሚያስችል የተለያዩ አሰራሮች መዘርጋት ካልተቻለ ቀውሱ ሰፊ ነው። አሁን ላይ በአህጉሩ ለሚስተዋሉት የሽብርተኝነት የስደተኝነት ለመሆናቸው በምክንያትነት ስለሚነሳ በዚህ ረገድ መስራት ያስፈልጋል ተብሎ ተቀምጧል። ይህንንም አጠናክሮ ለማስቀጠል ዳግም መግባባት ላይ ለመድረስ እየተከናወኑ ያሉ ስራዎችንም ለመገምገም የህብረቱ አባል ሀገራት መሪዎች ጉባኤያቸውን በአዲስ አበባ ያካሂዳሉ ማለት ነው። ከዚህ ባለፈ በዋነኛነት በአሁኑ የህብረቱ ጉባኤ ከሚነሱ ነጥቦች መካከል አንዱ የነፃ የንግድ ቀጠናን መመስረት የሚያስችል ውይይት የሚነሳ ነው የሚሆነው። እንደ አውሮፓውያን አቆጣጠር ከ2017 ታህሳስ ላይ ተጀምሮ እስከ 2020 ሙሉ ለሙሉ ወደ ተግባር ለመምጣት ግብ ተቀምጧል። ነፃ የንግድ ቀጠናን ለመመስረት እስካሁንም ወደ 13 አባል ሀገራት ፈቃደኛ መሆናቸው ነው የታወቀው። ኢትዮጵያን ይጨምራል ማለት ነው። ከዚህ ባለፈ በዚህ ጉባኤ ላይ ከሚነሱ ትላልቅ አጀንዳዎች መካከል የአፍሪካ ህብረትን የፋይናንስ አቅም ማጎልበት የሚቻልበት ይጠቀሳል። በዚህ ጉዳይ ላይ ምክክር ያደርጋሉ ተብሎ ነው የሚገመተው። መሪዎቹ የአፍሪካ አንድነት ድርጅት ወደ ህብረትነት ካደገ በኋላ በተለይ በሙሉ አቅሙ ወደ ስራ እንዲገባ እንዲያስችለው የራሱ የሆነ በጀት ያስፈልገዋል። አሁን ላይ 80% የበጀት ድጋፉን የሚያገኘው በድጎማ ከተለያዩ አካላት እንደሆነ ነው መረጃዎች የሚያመላክቱት። እናም አህጉሩ የበዛ አቅም አለው በተለያየ መልኩ ማለት ነው። ያንን ወደ ገንዘብ በመለወጥ ህብረቱን በገንዘብ በራስ አቅም መደገፍ በሚቻልበት ጉዳይ ላይ የህብረቱ አባል ሀገራት በመሪዎች ደረጃ ምክክር አድርገው ጠንካራ ውሳኔ ያስተላልፋሉ ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። የሰላምና የጸጥታ ሁኔታም በዚሁ የህብረቱ የመሪዎች ጉባኤ ምክክር ከሚደረግባቸው ነጥቦች መካከል አንዱ ነው። በሶማሊያ፣ በሊቢያ፣ በደቡብ ሱዳንና በማሊና በሌሎች የአባል ሀገራት ውስጥ ያሉ አለመረጋጋቶችን በራስ አቅም መፍታት በሚቻልበት ጉዳይ ላይም እንደዚሁም ችግሮችን ከመፍታት ባለፈ ደግሞ የተለያዩ የመፍትሄ ሀሳቦችን በመጠቆም የህብረቱ አባል ሀገራት ምክክር ያደርጋሉ ተብሎ ነው የሚጠበቀው። አሁን ከደቂቃዎች በኋላ በሚጀምረው የአፍሪካ ህብረት የመሪዎች ጉባኤ ማለት ነው። የሽብርተኝነት ጉዳይ አሳሳቢ ነው። በምዕራብ አፍሪካ ቦኮ ሃራምን እንደዚሁም ደግሞ በምስራቅ አፍሪካ ቀጠና ደግሞ አልሸባብን ማንሳት ይቻላልና ሀገራቱ በዋነኛነት የሽብር ስጋቶቻቸውን ለመቀነስ ከምንጊዜውም በተሻለ መልኩ የጋራ መግባባት ውስጥ ሆነው ምክክር ያደርጋሉ ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። ለዚህም እንግዲህ በተለይ በሳህል ቀጠና ወይም በሳህል በረሃ አካባቢ ሀገራት ይህን ችግሩን ለመቅረፍ በዋነኛነት ምክክር አድርገው የመፍትሄ ሀሳቦችን ያስቀምጣሉ ተብሎ ይታሰባል። የግብርናው ጉዳይም እንግዲህ በአፍሪካ ህብረት የመሪዎች ጉባኤ ከሚነሱ ነጥቦች መካከል አንዱ ነው። በተለይ በአሁኑ ሰዓት የተከሰተው የአሜሪካ መጤ ተምች ኢትዮጵያን ጨምሮ እንግዲህ በተለያዩ የአፍሪካ ሀገራት ጉዳት እያደረሰ ነው የሚገኘው ግብርናው ላይ። በመሆኑም ያንን በአፍሪካ ህብረት የመሪዎች ጉባኤ ላይ በመነጋገር በቀጣይ በምን መልኩ መቅረፍ ይገባናል የሚለውንም የአፍሪካ ህብረት መሪዎች ውይይት የሚያደርጉበት ነው የሚሆነው። በዚህ ጉባኤ ላይ እንግዲህ የተለያዩ ሀገራት መሪዎች በዚህ በአፍሪካ ህብረት 29ኛው የመሪዎች ጉባኤ ላይ ለመሳተፍ እዚህ አዲስ አበባ ነው የሚገኙት። በሚኖረው አጠቃላይ ስነ ስርዓት እንግዲህ የኢፌዴሪ ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር አቶ ኃይለማርያም ደሳለኝን ጨምሮ የተለያዩ ሀገራት መሪዎች ጉባኤው ላይ ለመሳተፍ እዚህ በአፍሪካ ህብረት የመሰብሰቢያ አዳራሽ የገቡ ነው የሚገኙት። ከዛ ባለፈ የተለያዩ ንግግሮችም ይደረጋሉ ተብሎ ነው የሚታሰበው። በዋነኛነት ወጣቶችን ተጠቃሚ በማድረግ የማህበረሰቡን ተጠቃሚነትን ማረጋገጥ ዋነኛ አጀንዳ ነውና በዚህ የህብረቱ የመሪዎች ጉባኤ ላይ የህብረቱ አዲሱ ኮሚሽነር ሙሳ ፋኪ መሐመድ ንግግር ያደርጋሉ። ከዛ ባለፈ የአፍሪካ ህብረት የወቅቱ ሊቀመንበር የሆኑት የጊኒው አልፋ ኮንዴም እንደዚሁ ከህብረቱ ሊቀመንበርነታቸው ጋር በተገናኘ ያከናውኗቸው ስራቸውን ሪፖርት ያቀርባሉ ተብሎ ነው የሚጠበቀው። የተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅት ምክትል ዋና ጸሐፊ አሚና መሐመድን በዚህ ጉባኤ ላይ ይገኛሉ ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። እሳቸውም የተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅትና የአፍሪካ ህብረት ስላላቸው ቁርኝት በቀጣይ ሊደረግና ሊከናወን ስለሚገባ ወዳጅነትም በንግግራቸው ይዳስሳሉ ተብሎ ነው የሚጠበቀው። የፍልስጤሙ ፕሬዝዳንት ማህሙድ አባስም ተጋባዥ ናቸው። እሳቸው ንግግር ያደርጋሉ ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። አጠቃላይ ያለውን ስነ ስርዓት እየተከታተልን ለፌስቡክ ተመልካቾቻችን የምናስተላልፍ ነው የሚሆነው። ከኛ ጋር እንድትቆዩ በአክብሮት እንጠይቃለን። መልካም ጊዜ።
S'il vous plaît, prenez vos places, s'il vous plaît, prenez vos places, s'il vous plaît.
الرجاء الالتحاق بأماكنكم لقد تأخرنا بساعة.
Non, ça c'est fini. Non, c'est maintenant, ça dit quand tout le monde va s'asseoir. S'il vous plaît, prenez vos places, s'il vous plaît. Please take your seats. Maître de cérémonie, s'il vous plaît. Master of ceremony. Your Majesty.
Votre Altesse.
Royal Highness. Excellencies, Heads of State, invited guests, all protocols observed. As the chairman has said that we are already 1 hour late, but I just want to request you to stand up for the AU anthem.
To defend our liberty. Let us all unite and toil together to give the best we have to Africa.
Merci. Thank you. Thank you.
Nous allons donc avoir
We are going to listen to the following speeches. The chairperson of the Commission of African Union, His Excellency Moussa Faki, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Madame Amina Mohammed, His Excellency Mahmoud Abbas, President of the State of Palestine and Chairman of the Palestine Liberation Organization, and then the opening statement of the current chairman of the African Union, Alpha Conde, the President of the Republic of Guinea, current chairman of the African Union. I most respectfully invite the chairperson of the Commission of African Union to make his statement.
Excellence, Professor Alpha.
Excellency Professor Alpha Conde, President of the Republic of Guinea, current Chairman of the African Union. Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Excellency President Mahmoud Abbas, President of the State of Palestine, Excellency Madame Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Honorable Ministers, Deputy Chairperson of the Commission, Commissioners, Ambassadors, representatives of the organs and regional economic communities, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly 3.5 months ago, I took up office at the helm of the Commission of our organization. It is a memorable moment, that day when you place your trust in my modest person. May I therefore renew most sincerely and reiterate my gratitude and grateful thanks by taking oath in front of you to devote all my strength to carry out the mission you entrusted to me and to the commissioners. I assess the immensity of the task, the magnitude of the challenges, your irreplaceable support, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, the Africanist commitment of the current Chairman, Professor Alpha Conde, and the mobilization of the various appropriate organs of the organization enable us in this short period of a little more than 3 months to take stock, to make progress, take stock of the situation, prepare, install, even initiate concrete actions. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our world, and you are the first ones to know, is a world in turmoil, where the countries and all the groupings endeavor, each one on its part, to carve a place, at the risk of marginalizing the other and embarrassing the neighbor, be it the best partner. In such a world, important changes are taking place, which, to a greater or lesser extent, reshape the political, in indeed economic and institutional character. The scarcity of resources following the collapse of oil prices, the widespread terrorist threats to most parts of the world, the persistence of hotbeds of tension and civil wars in sensitive regions in Africa, increased factors of insecurity and destabilization. All these factors, in fact, do induce us to be in a more resolute manner to strive for unity and to save our achievements in order to advance towards the objectives that have been, in fact, laid down by and in Agenda 2063. In fact, Africa, despite its shortcomings and its classical shortcomings, in fact is projecting a more promising image. In this context, it has consistently expressed its commitment to multilateralism, including in particular within the framework of the United Nations and with other major strategic partners in the world. In this regard, it is gratifying to note that its growth rate of 3.4% in 2017 could increase to 4.3 in 2018. I mean, the sustainability of such a significant growth will continue and improve. The middle class, the custodians and actors of change, continue to conclusive evidence of expansion. The entrepreneurial spirit and creative dynamism is flowing through broad circles of youth throughout the continent. The new technologies are prevailing in large areas of Africa, where mobile telephony is spreading at an extraordinary speed and up to and including large rural areas. Obviously, all these candles that light up all over the continent cannot hide what they allow us to see here and there. The persistence of some conflicts, the obvious signs of poor economic, political, democratic governance, and marginalization of women and significant deficits in the promotion of youth and their involvement in the decision-making process of the future of the continent. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in response to the legitimate question of what have we done during the past 3 months, I would just like to give you an overview of the actions. A programmatic action was initiated by all the departments at the end of the handing over procedures, followed immediately by a retreat of the Commission, presentations and mobilization of the staff of the Union. The launch of the reform was our second task. Several actions have been taken in close consultation with President Paul Kagame in charge of this reform, and Professor Alpha Conde, current chairman of the Union, and President Idris Deby Itno, the outgone chairman of the Union, and to whom I am delighted to pay deserved tribute for their wisdom, their Pan-African commitment, and their excellent interaction with the Commission. The quality report that President Paul Kagame has just presented, in fact, has given an exhaustive view of the constraints and the steps taken in the implementation of this reform. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, peace and security issues continue to be a source of great concern to us. The situation in South Sudan, Somalia, Libya, the Central African Republic, the tense relations between Djibouti and Eritrea, the difficulties in implementing the peace agreement in Mali, where the jihadist terrorism is very active, the political situation in some African countries, such as the DRC, Burundi, Guinea-Bissau, adequately reflect these concerns. While we welcome the diffusion of tension around Gergerat in Western Sahara, the appointment of the new personal representative of the UN Secretary General and his intention to launch a new initiative for the peaceful settlement of the conflict, we remain concerned about the present situation.
Désolé.
I'm sorry, blackout. We hope that the presence of the two parties as members of our union will facilitate a consensual situation in conformity with international legality. In order to address all these conflicts, we decided to give priority to prevention and anticipation, which call upon the regional groupings and mechanisms to intensify their actions in close cooperation with the relevant bodies of the African Union. On these issues and within the framework of our partnership, our action during the past few months has been marked by intense diplomatic activity. It was urgent to inform and to prepare all our friends across the world for the prospects of reform of our union and to advocate with force and pedagogy to mobilize support for it. Within this framework, we organized a African Union United Nations Summit, which was crowned with the signing of a framework for cooperation in peace and security between our two organizations. Never has agreement, prospects and hopes of cooperation between our two organizations have been so promising. I would like here to pay tribute to His Excellency Antonio Guterres, a great friend of Africa, for his decisive role that he has played in promoting this climate. With the European Union, the other decisive strategic partner, we had high-level exchanges with its executive and parliamentary bodies in Addis Ababa, Brussels and Strasbourg. A solid consensus is already established between our two institutions on issues of peace and security, the fight against terrorism and radicalism, on governance, political, economic, our electoral practices, our visions of climate change and the injustices done to Africa, the continent which is the least polluter but benefit only from a limited portion of the sacrifices made by mankind to face the global dangers, and on the place occupied by women and youth. The joint preparation of the forthcoming African Union-European Union Summit in the theme Investing in the Youth has entered its active phase. Our dearest wish is that this summit ushers in a new era of a dynamic, fruitful partnership profoundly respectful of the universal values that unite us all, as well as the specificities that distinguish us. Africa's contribution to the G7 and G20 have enhanced the visibility of Africa and increased the advocacy for our priorities as set out in and by our Agenda 2063. On all these issues, we have highlighted the African approach, which are likely to allow Africa to take up its responsibility to deal with this problem by drawing inspiration and drawing from its own human resources. I welcome the response that we've had, like the multinational joint task force in the Lake Chad Basin against Boko Haram and the force in the G5 Sahel, the establishment of the Peace Fund, to some member states, and I congratulate them on having contributed to that fund already. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the proximity with the African population, the fourth area of our action during the past quarter, seeks to anchor the Pan-African ideal in the conscience of people. Its pursuit will make it possible to strengthen solidarity and advocacy in favor of peoples exposed to vulnerabilities and disasters of drought, famine, endemics, terrorism, and other forms of violence. In this regard, only just 4 days after my inauguration, I traveled to Somalia, South Sudan, the Lake Chad Basin, and the G5 countries. This action aimed at showing our solidarity with the states and peoples of these regions which face the above-mentioned tragedies and hardships. How can I hide my profound frustration at the silence and inaction of Africans in the face of the atrocious tragedy of famine in these regions? What happened to the values of African solidarity and brotherhood? Where is our civil society? Where did our private sector and benefactors go? The tragedies of our brothers in Somalia, South Sudan, in the Lake Chad Basin and in the Sahel, in fact, appeal to and challenge our conscience deep down in our beings. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the relevant issue that, the question that can ask, what are we going to do by January 2018? I want to say the first is to implement the relevant decision that you will take in the light of the report of President Kagame for the implementation of the reform. I very much hope that the year 2018 will be the year of a recovery of the Union, its financial autonomy, and a new renaissance for it. The second area of action will be peace and security. We remain determined with all our strength to diffuse tension and to encourage political solutions in regions where violence, alas, still exists. The objective of silencing the guns by 2020 is very much on our horizon. In this regard, I hope that my report of January 2018, with the help of all the people of goodwill and on the continent and our friends and strategic partners in the world, will bring good news on all these peace-building projects, justice and reconciliation in Africa. The humanitarian action in solidarity with the victims of the devastating disasters of drought, famine, epidemics and forced displacement will be our third area of action, which will particularly engage our attention and mobilize a significant part of our energies. Strategic development issues as the fourth track will occupy the place they deserve. I would like, once the process of transforming DEPAD into an implementing agency of the Union, to begin the concrete process of executing some integrative projects for the benefit of the peoples of Africa. At another level, we will seek to put across as a fifth course of action the imperative need to speak with one voice, ensuring definitively the implementation of your decision to deal with others in accordance with the Banjul Consensus and also the position that are contained in Resolution 635 of January 2017. Several events have shown that whenever we have maintained our unity and spoken with one voice, we have won victories. The latest example is the election of the Director General of the WHO. This election affords me the opportunity to reiterate our warm congratulations to our compatriot, Dr. Theodros, on his brilliant election, while wishing him success in his new functions. In the same vein, therefore, I want to recall the responsibility, the heavy responsibility that today and tomorrow lies on the shoulders of the three countries representing Africa on the UN Security Council to demonstrate more than ever before their unity and to defend faithfully the positions adopted by the policy-making organs of our organization. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, two questions puzzle my mind. I will betray you what I dislike. I will betray my conscience that it distresses me if I do not confess it to you. What kind of relationship we want to establish between our decisions and our actions? How to ensure anchoring ourselves in universalism while maintaining and safeguarding our specificity? A closer look reveals that the two questions in fact come together and ultimately are one. Indeed, and I apologize to use the term to say that we have the unfortunate habit of taking an infinite number of decisions on an infinite number of issues and themes without significant consideration of the modalities for the implementation. Most of these decisions end buried in our drawers. Everybody agrees to say that this way of doing things is hugely detrimental to the credibility and the image of our organization. In reality, we face a demanding, unavoidable choice. Either we amend our text and the provisions to extract what is not in line with our specificities and our levels of development, or we comply with the exigencies of our anchoring in the universal. To decide on options and to do the contrary is now a position which is politically untenable, ethically reprehensible. I therefore appeal to your immense wisdom to guide me and enlighten my first steps here and elsewhere in the search for the right path. I thank you for your kind attention.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Chairperson. I have the honor to invite Madam Amina Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, to take the floor.
Your Excellency, Professor Alpha Condé, President of the Republic of Guinea and Chair of the African Union, Your Excellency, Mahmoud Abbas, President of the State of Palestine, Your Excellency, Mr. Musa Faki Mohammed, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Excellencies, Heads of State, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed honored today and humbled to participate at my first African Union Summit as Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. It is the highest serving African position and therefore even more humbling that I am here today in this capacity. I'm particularly pleased to be with you too at the halfway mark of the African Union's year of harnessing the democratic dividend through investments in our youth. Our organizations are embarking on two extremely ambitious agendas, Agenda 2063 and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This all along with the Addis Ababa Action Agenda and the Paris Climate Agreement. This year's thematic focus on youth is a powerful reminder of the core principle at the heart of these agendas, creating a better generation for the future. For the 226 million young people aged between 15 and 24 living in Africa today, these agendas address challenges and opportunities that are integral to their futures. The challenge of eradicating poverty and achieving inclusive and sustainable growth has spurred Africa's steady pursuit of transformative sustainable development. These efforts have been earmarked by historic steps towards regional integration, industrialization and diversification, infrastructure development, private sector development, and strengthened agricultural productivity. All of these we know are vital for creating decent jobs and a better future for our young people. The challenge of strengthening Africa's human capital, starting with its young people, has galvanized commitments to promote their rights and invest in quality and relevant education at all levels, in health, in science, technology, and in innovation. The emphasis on youth has also spurred these efforts on peace and security. The African Peace and Security Architecture and Agenda 2063's commitments to silence the guns by 2020 have brought a new focus to preventive diplomacy that is critical for ensuring that young Africans inherit and shape a continent that is free from conflict in all its forms. Here I would like to welcome the democratic progress that we've had in Somalia and the Gambia, where successful elections have been held and transitions made with the support of one another in solidarity. In the coming months, we must all continue to support other countries in their upcoming elections and in the important days after those transitions. I would like to express special appreciation to the governments and people of Uganda, of Ethiopia, of DRC, Tanzania, and other countries on this continent who have kept their doors open and given refugees fleeing from conflict not only a warm welcome, but have given it to them with dignity and with hope. Their humanity and compassion should be an inspiration to other countries around the world that have not demonstrated the same solidarity and support for the most vulnerable. The bold efforts of governments like Uganda, who have gone beyond the camps by integrating our men, women and children into their communities, and all this despite the levels of poverty, is not only exemplary, but is an example that should be emulated all over the world. Today, you are here taking decisions that will ensure that Africa benefits from the full potential of all its people, including young women and men. And this has generated greater efforts to ensure that all young African women and girls have equal access, opportunities, and leadership roles in all areas of political, economic, and public life. Truly investing in our youth today reaps the dividends of a peaceful and prosperous Africa tomorrow. I am encouraged and commend the leadership of the AUC with the launch in May at the UN of the African Women Leaders Network. I also look forward to collaborating with the African Union on a new UN-EU initiative that will be launched in the UN General Assembly in September that will look to end gender-based violence globally. We must address the root causes of this scourge, which affects us so personally, our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, our granddaughters. None of our religions, nor our cultures, condone that we do harm to our women and girls. We must build on the progress that has been made in many of our countries and work even harder to prevent and end these atrocities urgently. Excellencies, while Africa has made significant progress, the great challenge that lies before us now is to deliver on the full promise of the Global 2030 Agenda and Agenda 2063 for Africa and its people. We have a saying in my country, Nigeria, in times of great challenges, the wise build bridges and the foolish build dams. Today, our organizations continue to strengthen our partnership, building new bridges between us and fortifying the ones that already exist. When Secretary General Guterres addressed you in January of this year, he underscored the principles of solidarity and respect for the foundation that will strengthen our partnership. Since then, we have made some progress in some key areas. First, we have raised the level of the strategic partnership between our organizations, when on the 19th of April, the UN Secretary-General and the chairperson of the AU Commission convened the inaugural UN-AU Annual Conference in New York, culminating in the adoption of a joint framework for enhanced partnership in peace and security. Our organizations have also agreed to prepare a joint framework on sustainable development, focusing on the implementation of Agenda 2063 and the 2030 Agenda. Secondly, we have continued our efforts to enhance the UN partnership with the African regional economic communities, working with them on various peacekeeping efforts on the continent, as well as supporting peaceful elections and democratic institutions. Thirdly, we continue to seek ways to support the African governance architecture, including the Africa Peer Review Mechanism, APRM. The APRM will be a vital partner in the broader joint monitoring and reporting framework currently being established in order to ensure efficient and coherent implementation of our agendas. Fourth, the UN has continued to support the AU initiative to silence the guns by 2020, including by strengthening support for the Africa Peace and Security Architecture. The Secretary-General has reinforced his calls for predictable, reliable, and sustainable financing for AU peace operations, and is working with the AU to present a set of concrete proposals to the UN Security Council. Our efforts should continue to be based on the urgency, flexibility, and innovation to improve complementarity, cost-effectiveness, and impact in our people's lives. We commend African leaders for their commitment to self-reliance as reflected in their decision to fund 25% of AU's peace and support operations by 2020. We also welcome the establishment of the African Union Peace Fund, which will go beyond peacekeeping to support preventive diplomacy and institution building. The United Nations is truly honoured and humbled by the invitation to serve on its Board of Trustees. And I would personally like to thank African countries again for your continued contributions to the United Nations peacekeeping operations. Fifth and finally, the UN has continued to support African integration, including efforts to establish the Continental Free Trade Area. We have already provided technical support for mapping intra-African trade and analysing regulatory frameworks. Here we must work to take advantage of one of the world's largest infrastructure initiatives, the Chinese Belt and Road. It calls for our global partners to scale up investments in Africa's infrastructure for regional economic integration. This is an opportunity not just to provide alternatives to silencing the guns for our people, but one that will keep our assets, both human and natural, on the continent, building our tomorrow today. Excellencies, our organizations are both engaged in transformative reforms that are essential if we are to be fit for purpose for the ambitious agendas that lie before us. These courageous reforms, led by President Kagame, will strengthen the AU Commission's essential work on delivering on development and its investment in human resources. They will make the African Union an employer that is sought after by many young people on this continent who are passionate about making a difference. They will make the African Union the destination of choice for our leaders and global partners. And as each organization works to strengthen itself, we must also strengthen the important relationship that exists between us, not just here and in New York, but in Geneva, in Bonn, and in Rome. We must never stop building bridges towards one another, overcoming broken promises on both sides by fortifying them to bear the weight of the expectations we have for one another and that the world has for us. On behalf of the Secretary General and myself, we commit ourselves to working together to achieve the Africa we want for Africa's young people, our children, and those yet unborn. I thank you.
His speech.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Excellency President Alpha Condé, Chairman of the African Union, President of the Republic of Guinea, Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Representative of the UN Secretary General, Majesties, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to meet you again, and I thank you for your kind invitation to attend this summit and for your support to the rights of our people and their just cause in international organizations and events. We are fully hopeful and confident that you will uphold your positions which are in harmony with the principles of rights and justice. Here, I wish to congratulate the Republic of Equatorial Guinea and the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire for their adhesion of the Peace Council by the beginning of 2018. I also congratulate Ethiopia for the election of her former Minister of Foreign Affairs at the helm of the WHO. Mr. President, heads of delegation, ladies and gentlemen, we hail your increasingly fast steps to achieve sustainable development, develop economic systems, and empower women and youths, in addition to your efforts in combating terrorism and religious extremism in the African continent. We wish your strong union and its member states more prosperity, stability, and progress. These member states are moving with confidence and in a fast manner towards modernizing their systems and the ways to cooperate and open up to the economies of the rest of the world. This will generate prosperity and benefits for the states of your great continent. Mr. President, African states and the African Union have always been a blessed support and partner in our destiny. We hope that our partnership will remain prosperous. In our struggle today, we look forward to your continued support to our cause and the continuation of consultation between us as historic friends and allies. The attempts of the occupying Israeli state to participate in your regional meetings and to organize continental meetings will encourage it to continue to be stubborn, occupy Palestine, and deny the rights of the Palestinian people to freedom, sovereignty, and independence. You believe in these basic human values and principles, and the great African leaders before you believed in them. These leaders made sacrifices for the freedom of your continent, states, and peoples. We hope that any progress in the relations between your continent and Israel be linked to the extent of Israel's commitment to end the occupation of the land of the occupied state of Palestine since 1967, including the capital of Eastern Jerusalem. Mr. President, you all know that this year marks 50 years of the Israeli occupation of the lands of the state of Palestine in 1967. This coincides with 69 years since half of our population was expelled from their land because of the massacres perpetrated by Israel when it was created in 1948. Israel has not recognized its moral responsibility for this historical injustice which threw an entire people into the unknown. Our people are still suffering every day under the occupation. Mr. President, this is just part of the bitter reality we are living in at the moment. We look forward to your support to stop it and change it through peaceful and diplomatic means and through international organizations and institutions. The aim is to protect our national rights and implement the two-state solution so that Palestine and Israel live side by side in security, peace, and good neighborhood. We endeavor to build bridges with Israel in accordance with the resolutions of international legality to achieve security and peace for all instead of building walls of racial separation. For this reason, your votes in favor of Palestinian resolutions will protect the two-state solution and contribute to protecting the rights of the occupied Palestine until peace is achieved. a just solution to the Palestinian cause is the key to peace and will undoubtedly contribute to sweeping away the excuses of terrorist organizations in the areas around us. It will also be beneficial to the region and its future generations and to international peace and security. Mr. President, there is a new ray of hope to make peace with the early initiative by His Excellency President Trump and his administration to make peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis. This is a timely move. We affirmed to President Trump during our meetings with him in the White House and Beit Lahem our full readiness to work with him to sign a historic peace accord between us and the Israelis on the basis of the two-state solution. We are awaiting Israel's reply to this initiative. We also affirmed to President Trump our full partnership with him to combat terrorism in the region and the world. Mr. President, as we congratulate you on holding this summit, we hope you will achieve your aspirations for prosperity and progress for your countries, continent, and peoples. We reaffirm our full readiness to consolidate cooperation, economic and trade partnerships, and investments with your strong union and member states. We can exchange expertise in agriculture, health, and clean energy, in addition to cooperation in security and combating terrorism. All of this through the Palestinian Agency for International Cooperation. I wish you all good health and happiness. I wish your peoples, your countries, more prosperity and progress. I wish your African Union, the house of all African member states, success. I wish you success in taking Africa into the wider horizons of construction, development, and achieving your set objectives. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Now I have the honor to invite most respectfully His Excellency Professor Alpha Condé, President of the Republic of Guinea and the current Chairman of the African Union, to make his opening statement.
Excellences, Mesdames, Messieurs,
Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Excellency Mr. Mahmoud Abbas, President of the State of Palestine, Chairperson of the Commission of African Union, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Heads of Delegation, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Africa has just lost two illustrious personalities who have marked the continent for a better future. I'm here referring, first of all, to our late brother, Ketumile Masire, former President of the Republic of Botswana, one of the architects of democracy in his country and builder of a nation whose political progress, economic advancement and social progress command the respect and admiration of one and all. In fact, he has contributed to the development of his southern African region and also the process of integration. Also on 4 June in New York, Dr. Babatunde Osotimin, the Executive Director of the UNFPA, was brutally taken away from us. Through his commitment and his leadership, he contributed in a qualitative manner to raising awareness of the international community about the importance of demographic dividend, and he left no stone unturned for the roadmap of the African Union on the theme to become a tangible reality. In my capacity as the current chairman of the African Union, I want to pay high tribute to these two Africans, and therefore I would like to invite you to observe a minute of silence for these two great Africans.
Merci.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my colleagues, I have the pleasure to express our renewed gratitude to the government and people of the Federal Republic, Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, for the generous hospitality accorded to us during our stay in this beautiful capital, Addis Ababa. The various facilities constitute, in fact, an element for the success of our deliberations, of our meeting, which also focalize on the true renaissance of Africa within the international context for eradicating poverty and also ensure a better future. In fact, in many regions, in many areas, the crises and fratricidal conflicts have continued to kill many people and to push them towards a perilous and uncertain direction, and to become the migration phenomenon. Consequently, the degradation of our environment, in fact, has brought about new crises which have compromised the future of our peoples, and also the inequalities, and therefore Africa in its quest of emergence and in globalization has established mechanisms and policies to attain the objectives of the Agenda 2063 and 2030. Aware of the importance of human capital, the African Union has decided to harness the African youth, find ways and means of developing the youth, which constitutes 70% of the population. The holistic management of the challenges faced by youth call upon us to find alternatives, to build economies that are resilient and capable of ensuring the space that is for the youth in our continent. To invest in this youth is first of all to reassure their determination and also to have an acceptable future for them. This is to convince that Africa is the best basis for them and the source of sustenance. In fact, is to inculcate in them the sense of duty and responsibility, and also to involve them in the decision-making. Developed, educated youth that will unleash its creative genius constitute a factor of peace and stability for us. It is for us to pool our efforts in order to create an African space conducive to the development of this youth, for the transformation of our systems and methods of governance through a better awareness of the imperative need for the African unity as well as the political and economic integration of the continent. It behoves us to establish and lay down adequate health and training systems to prepare youth to face the world of work and explore its potential in the world context. It is an imperative for us leaders, African leaders, that if we don't invest substantially in youth, then we will have failed our duty and compromised dangerously the future of the youth. We obviously would have condemned them to unemployment, to large-scale immigration, to become parasites and to be paupers. That is why I would like to reiterate and renew my appeal to my brothers and sisters and people of goodwill, so that we can pool and unite our efforts, so that we can have the roadmap on the theme of 2017. I invite the various African countries to take ownership of this roadmap, which is the key to our renaissance. I want to make make the initiative the priorities of my mandate, the recruitment, the training, the deployment of 2 million community health agents, and therefore this will be also to build the capacities for prevention and also the response of our continent to epidemics like HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. Ladies and gentlemen, the measures that we have taken within the framework of empowering, that is self-financing and institutional reform of the African Union, together with our determination of silencing the guns on the continent by 2020, will strengthen the credibility of our continent and also call for respect and consideration from our partners, so that together within the framework of a viable and equitable partnership we can build this world of prosperity which is a shared one. In this regard, I also welcome the adoption by the UN Security Council of Resolution 2359/2017 relating on the deployment of the joint force of the G5 Sahel, which is the right step in the right direction within the framework of our partnership. Africa has decided to take its destiny in its own hands and will invest forcefully and with determination to put out the various hotbeds of tension. I congratulate the states that have already implemented the decision on the financing of. I also welcome the commitment and efforts made by the heads of state who are in charge of certain issues that have been entrusted to them, and we shall be enlightened by the progress reports that they will present at this summit. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa should become a haven of peace, of prosperity, conducive to investment, entrepreneurship, and creativity and innovation. The future of our youth, our women, our young girls depend on that. More than ever before, we have to take action in order to harness the demographic dividend. Sons and daughters of Africa, I want you to stand up and play the role that is yours in world affairs. And as I've always said, when Africa is united and can make its voice heard, it wins. The recent election of Dr. Tedros Adhanom to the post of Director General of WHO is an illustration. On your behalf, I would like to see this opportunity to congratulate him and wish him full success in his new functions. I want to conclude by also expressing the pride that I've already felt of representing Africa at international fora, international meetings over the past weeks, that of G7 and G20, and also of having made the voice of Africa heard through me. The presence of the current chairman of the African Union at these meetings, in fact, made it possible to plead in favor and carry out advocacy for better consideration of the concerns of Africa and to consolidate Africa's concern. And Africa has to speak with one voice, act as one man. And we have decided at this summit, Excellencies, heads of state and government, participants, observers, I therefore declare open the 29th ordinary session of the Assembly of the African Union, and I would like also to congratulate and welcome to say goodbye to our sister Johnson Sirleaf, but obviously I want to say, my sister, we will miss you a lot. We want also to congratulate our sister Amina Mohammed, who has been elected as the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. I thank you.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. As stated in the program, we have His Excellency Robert Mugabe, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, had offered the heads of cattle to the African Union Foundation. Since the foundation didn't know where to keep the heads of cattle, they have been sold, and he wants to hand over formally the check to the chairperson of the Commission of African Union, who is the chairman of the African Union Foundation. Excellency, chairperson of the Commission of African Union, please, can you receive the check from the hands of President Mugabe?
ተመልካቾቻችን እስካሁን ከኢትዮጵያ ብሮድካስቲንግ ኮርፖሬሽን ኢቢሲ የፌስቡክ ገጽ ላይ በምስል እየተላለፈ የሚገኘውን የአፍሪካ ህብረት 29ኛው የመሪዎች ጉባኤ ቀጥታ ስርጭታችንን ነበር የተከታተላችሁት። በዚህ የመሪዎቹ ጉባኤ ላይ እንግዲህ የተለያዩ ጉዳዮች ተነስተው ምክክር ይደረግባቸዋል ብለን ነበር። የተለያዩ ጉዳዮች ላይ ትኩረት ያደረጉ ንግግሮችም ተደርገዋል። የአዲሱ የአፍሪካ ህብረት ኮሚሽነር ሙሳ ፋኪ እንደዚሁ ንግግር አድርገው ነበር። በንግግራቸው በአህጉሪቱ ያለውን በተለይ ደግሞ ከጸጥታ ጋር ወይም ደግሞ ከጸጥታና ከሰላም ጉዳዮች ጋር በተገናኘ ትኩረት ተደርገው የህብረቱ ጉባኤ ምክክር እንደሚያደርግ አንስተዋል። አለመረጋጋቶች የተከሰቱባቸው አገራት ችግሮች ተለይተው በዋነኛነት በህብረቱ የመሪዎች ጉባኤ ላይ ምክክር እንደሚደረግ አንስተው ነበር። በሊቢያ፣ በሶማሊያ፣ በደቡብ ሱዳንና በማሊ ያለው አለመረጋጋት እንዲቀርፍ የሚያስችሉ ሀሳቦች እንደሚነሱ በንግግራቸው ዳሰዋል። የተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅት ምክትል ዋና ጸሐፊ አሚና ማህመድም እንደዚሁ ንግግር አድርገው ነበር። እሳቸውም በንግግራቸው በዋነኛነት ትኩረት አድርገው ያነሷቸው የተለያዩ ነጥቦች ነበሩ። 2063 ላይ አጀንዳው ማለት ነው በአፍሪካ የተቀመጠው ውጤታማ ለማድረግ የወጣቶችን አቅም መጠቀም እንደሚያስፈልግ ጠቅሰዋል። ለዚህም አህጉሪቱ ከግጭት ነጻ መሆን እንዳለባት ነው በንግግራቸው ያነሱት። ከዚህ በተጨማሪም በአህጉሪቱ ባሉ አለመረጋጋቶች ምክንያት ከተለያዩ ሀገራት የሚሰደዱ ዜጎችን ተቀብለው በማስተናገድ የአፍሪካ ሀገራት ያበረከቱት ላለው አስተዋጽኦ ምስጋና አቅርበዋል። በዩጋንዳና በኢትዮጵያ ያለውን ተሞክሮ በዋናነት በማንሳት ማለት ነው። የተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅት ለሚያዋቅረው የሰላም አስከባሪ ቡድን አፍሪካን አበርክቷቸው በጣም ከፍተኛ ነው። ለዚህም እያደረጉት ላለው ድጋፍም ምስጋናቸውን ቸረዋል። ምክትል ዋና ጸሐፊዋ የተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅት በአፍሪካ የንግድ ቀጠና ለመመስረት እየተደረገ ያለውን ጥረትና የፋይናንስ ድጋፍ በዋነኛነት በራስ አቅም ለመሸፈን እየተደረገ ያለውን ጥረት እንደሚደግፍም አንስተዋል። የወቅቱ የአፍሪካ ህብረት ሊቀመንበር አልፋ ኮንዴ በንግግራቸው የዳሰሷቸው ነጥቦችም ነበሩ። እሳቸውም ንግግር አድርገዋል። የወጣቱን አቅም መጠቀም ያስፈልጋል። ለዚህም ለወጣቶች የተመቻቸ አህጉር መፍጠር አለብን። ውሳኔ ሰጭነት ላይ በማሳተፍ የወጣቶችን ተሳታፊነት ማረጋገጥ ያስፈልጋል። ከዚህ በተጨማሪም እያንዳንዱ ሀገር ወጣቶች ላይ መዋለ ንዋዩን ፈሰስ ማድረግ አለበት። ይህንን ካልቻልን የውድቀት ምክንያቶች ይፈጠራሉ። የስደተኝነት በዋነኛነት እየተከሰቱ ያሉ ችግሮች ከዚሁ ይመነጫሉና ወጣቶቻችን ላይ መዋለ ንዋይን ማፍሰስ ይገባናል ሲሉ ተናግረዋል። ህብረቱን በፋይናንስ የመደገፉ ስራም ተጠናክሮ መቀጠል እንዳለበት ነው በንግግራቸው የወቅቱ የአፍሪካ ህብረት ሊቀመንበር የሆኑት አልፋ ኮንዴ የተናገሩት ማለት ነው። ሌላው በዚህ የህብረቱ የመሪዎች ጉባኤ ላይ ትኩረት ስበው የነበረው የዚምባብዌ ፕሬዚደንት ሮበርት ሙጋቤ ጉዳይ ነበረ። እሳቸው እንግዲህ የአፍሪካ ህብረት ፋውንዴሽንን ለመደገፍ ከዚህ ቀደም እንግዲህ ወደ 300 ከብቶችን በድጋፍ አቅርበው ነበረ። ይህንን ለማድረግ ከቻሉ በኋላ ደግሞ ከብቶቹን በመሸጥ ማለት ነው ያገኙትን 1 ሚሊዮን የሚጠጋ ዶላር ማለት ነው ለህብረቱ አስረክበዋል። እንግዲህ በቼክ አምጥተው ማለት ነው። ይሄም ከፍተኛ ትኩረት ስበው ነበረ። ከተለያዩ የህብረቱ አባል ሀገራትም አድናቆትን አስችሯቸዋል። ይሄ ደግሞ በዋነኛነት አሉ የህብረቱ ኮሚሽነር ሙሳ ፋኪ በህብረቱ ደረጃ በፋይናንስ ለመደገፍ እየተደረገ ያለውን ጥረት የሚያግዝ እንደዚሁም ደግሞ ጥሩ ጅማሬ የሆነ ተግባር ነው ብለው ገልጸውታል። በአጠቃላይ እንግዲህ የአፍሪካ ህብረት የመሪዎች ጉባኤ አሁን በአዲስ አበባ እየተከናወነ ነው የሚገኘው። ጉባኤው የተለያዩ ውሳኔዎችን አሳልፎ ይጠናቀቃል ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። በዋነኛነት መነጋገሪያ የሆኑት የህብረቱን ማሻሻያ በሚቻልበት ወይም ደግሞ የአፍሪካ ህብረት ሪፎርም ላይ ከዚህ በተጨማሪ ደግሞ ህብረቱን በፋይናንስ ለመደገፍ የሚደረገው ጥረት ላይ ንግግር ይደረጋል። የሰላምና የጸጥታ ጉዳይም የህብረቱ ዋነኛ መነጋገሪያ ነው የሚሆነው። ከዚህ በተጨማሪ ደግሞ የአህጉሪቱ የግብርና ሁኔታን በመቃኘት በተለያዩ የአፍሪካ ሀገራት የተከሰተውን የአሜሪካ መጤ ተምችን ለመከላከል እየተሰሩ ያሉ ስራዎችና በቀጣይ መወሰድ ስለሚገባቸው እርምጃዎች ከሌሎች የሀገሪቱ ወቅታዊ ጉዳዮች ጋር በመነጋገር ውሳኔ ያሳልፋል ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። የኢቢሲ የፌስቡክ ገጽም ይህንን መረጃዎች እየተከታተለ በትኩስነታቸው ለእናንተ ማቅረቡን ይቀጥላል። አጠቃላይ የነበረው የአፍሪካ ህብረት 29ኛው የመሪዎች ጉባኤ መክፈቻ ስነ ስርዓት ይህንን ይመስል ነበረ። ስለተከታተላችሁን እናመሰግናለን። ሰለሞን ጫላና ናትናኤል ጸጋዬ ነበርን። ጤና ይስጥልን።